Undercover boss is insulted in her own car showroom. What she does next is shocking. Part 1. Lucy Williams started her life in a small town with big dreams. 20 years later, she owned Williams Motors, a chain of car showrooms across the country. Her company had grown from one small shop to 35 locations with over 400 workers. Lucy worked very hard to build her business. She started by selling used cars from a tiny lot and slowly saved enough money to open her first proper showroom. People liked her honest way of doing business, and her company grew quickly. But lately, things weren't going well. Sales were dropping at many locations. Customers were complaining more often. Lucy spent most of her time in meetings at the head office and rarely visited her showrooms anymore. One evening, Lucy was reading customer reviews online. Most of them were not good. Many mentioned rude staff, hidden costs, and feeling pushed to buy things they didn't need. Lucy felt sad and worried. This was not how she wanted her business to run. "I need to see what's really happening," she told her friend and business partner Jack. "But if I visit as the boss, everyone will be on their best behavior." Jack thought for a moment. "Why not go undercover? See what it's really like to be a customer or a new worker in your own shops?" Lucy loved this idea. With help from a makeup artist, she changed her look completely. Her long blonde hair became short and brown. She wore glasses and clothes she would never normally choose. She even practiced speaking in a different way. Her plan was simple. She would apply for a job at her worst-performing showroom in the city center. She would use a fake name, Helen Miller, and say she had no experience selling cars. On Monday morning, Lucy walked into the showroom feeling nervous. The manager, Peter, barely looked at her as she handed over her fake CV. "Another one with no experience," he sighed. "Fine. Follow David around today. Try not to get in his way. Sales staff need to focus." David was tall with slicked back hair and an expensive watch. He looked Lucy up and down and frowned. "Just stay behind me and don't talk to customers," he told her. "I don't have time to babysit." Lucy was shocked by his rudeness, but nodded quietly. She followed David to the main showroom floor where shiny new cars sat under bright lights. Soon an older couple came in. They were looking for a safe, reliable car for their daughter who was starting university. "Leave this to me," David whispered to Lucy. "These old folks will be easy to upsell." Lucy watched in horror as David started showing the couple the most expensive cars, even though they had mentioned wanting something affordable. He used complicated terms without explaining them and laughed at their questions. "Of course you wouldn't understand the technical details," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Just trust me, this model is what your daughter needs." When the couple asked about fuel economy, Lucy couldn't help herself. "Actually," she said, stepping forward, "the smaller model over there gets nearly twice the miles per gallon. It might be better for a student budget." David's face turned red. He grabbed Lucy's arm and pulled her aside. "What do you think you're doing?" he hissed. "Never contradict me in front of customers. Know your place or you won't last a day here." The couple looked uncomfortable and soon left without buying anything. Lucy felt terrible. Was this happening in all her showrooms? Had the friendly, honest business she built turned into this? As the day continued, Lucy saw more problems. Staff took long breaks while customers waited. They made fun of people who couldn't afford expensive cars. Worst of all, they added charges to paperwork without explaining them clearly. Lucy went home that night with a heavy heart. This was only day one of her undercover journey, and already she knew things needed to change. But first, she needed to see just how deep the problems went. The end. Remember, sometimes seeing the truth hurts, but it's the first step toward making things better. Undercover boss is insulted in her own car showroom. What she does next is shocking. Part 2. The next morning, Lucy arrived at the showroom early. She wanted to see how the staff acted when the manager wasn't around. She found 3 salespeople drinking coffee and laughing. "Did you see that old man yesterday?" one of them said. "The one with the walking stick? He thought he could afford the luxury model." They all laughed. Lucy felt sick to her stomach. This was not what she had built her business for. David arrived last, 10 minutes late. No one said anything about his lateness. He walked past Lucy without saying hello. "Helen, clean the coffee cups," he ordered without looking at her. "Then dust all the cars. Make sure they shine." Lucy nodded quietly and did as she was told. As she cleaned, she listened to everything happening around her. She heard David tell a new worker to focus on commission, not customer happiness. She watched him rush people into signing papers without explaining all the costs. Around noon, a young woman came in. She looked nervous and told David this would be her first car purchase. "Perfect," David whispered to another salesman. "First-timers don't know what questions to ask." David showed the young woman the most expensive cars, even though she clearly said she had a small budget. When she asked about monthly payments, he gave confusing answers. "Don't worry about the details," he said. "Just trust me. I do this every day." The woman looked at a small red car in the corner. "What about that one? It looks nice and probably uses less fuel." "That old thing?" David laughed. "That's not right for someone like you. You need something impressive." Lucy was polishing a car nearby. She couldn't stay quiet any longer. "Excuse me," she said to the young woman. "That red car is our most fuel-efficient model. It's also the cheapest to insure for new drivers." David's face turned dark with anger. He grabbed Lucy's arm and pulled her away. "What do you think you're doing?" he hissed. "That was a sure sale on a car with good commission." "She can't afford it," Lucy whispered back. "You're setting her up for debt she can't handle." "Listen, Helen," David said, his voice cold. "You're just the cleaner. You know nothing about cars or sales. Your job is to dust and shut up. One more word to a customer and you're fired. Understand?" Lucy nodded, her cheeks burning with humiliation and anger. She had never been spoken to like this in her life. The young woman left without buying anything, and David blamed Lucy. During lunch break, Lucy sat alone eating her sandwich. The office manager, Mary, came and sat beside her. "Don't take it personally," Mary said kindly. "David treats everyone like that. He only cares about his commission." "Has he always been this way?" Lucy asked. "It's gotten worse in the last year," Mary explained. "The head office keeps pushing for higher sales targets. They don't seem to care how we reach them." Lucy felt a pang of guilt. Those targets came from her executive team, and ultimately from her. In the afternoon, an elderly man came in looking for a safe, reliable car. Lucy watched in horror as David lied about safety features and pushed expensive add-ons the man didn't need. When the man asked about the warranty, David gave wrong information. Lucy couldn't help herself. "Actually," she said, stepping forward, "the warranty is 3 years, not 5, and it doesn't cover the things you just mentioned." David's face went red with rage. In front of the customer and everyone in the showroom, he shouted at Lucy, "Who do you think you are, some kind of car expert? You're nothing but a clueless cleaner who can't even dust properly. Maybe you think you own the place? If you want to keep this job, shut your mouth and do as you're told." The showroom went completely silent. The elderly customer looked shocked and quickly left. Lucy stood there shaking with anger and embarrassment as everyone stared at her. What David didn't know was that she did own the place. And tomorrow, he would find out exactly who Helen really was. The end. Remember, sometimes we must face humiliation to truly understand the problems we need to fix. Undercover boss is insulted in her own car showroom. What she does next is shocking. Part. On the third day, Lucy arrived early again. She found Peter, the manager, in his office looking worried. He was on the phone. "Yes, I understand," he said. "We need more sales. We'll push harder on the extras." After he hung up, Lucy knocked on his door. "Come in, Helen," he said, not looking up from his papers. "Is everything okay?" Lucy asked. Peter sighed. "Head office wants more money. They keep raising our targets. It's impossible." "Do they understand what's happening in the showroom?" Lucy asked carefully. Peter laughed without humor. "They sit in their fancy offices and don't care how we make the numbers work. They just want more profit." Lucy felt a deep sadness. Those people at head office were her executive team, people she had chosen. Had she picked the wrong people? Had she created this pressure? The morning was busy. Lucy watched David sell a car to a family by hiding extra costs in the small print. When they left, David high-fived another salesman. They'll never notice the extra charges until it's too late to cancel, he laughed. At lunchtime, Lucy went to the back room where the sales records were kept. As Helen, she wasn't supposed to be there, but she needed to see the paperwork. What she found shocked her. Many contracts had extra items added after customers had signed. Some had higher interest rates than what was promised. Suddenly, the door opened. It was Mary, the office manager. "You shouldn't be in here," Mary said, looking nervous. "I'm sorry," Lucy replied. "I was just curious about how things work." Mary looked at her for a long moment. "You're different from the other new staff," she said. "You actually care about the customers, don't you?" Lucy asked. Mary's face showed her sadness. "I used to. We all did. But now it's just about numbers. Sell more, charge more, trick more." "When did it change?" Lucy asked. "About 2 years ago. The new executive team came in with their fancy degrees and charts. They don't care about people, only profit." Lucy nodded slowly. 2 years ago, she had stepped back from daily management and hired experts to run the business. She had trusted them to keep her values alive. In the afternoon, a young couple came in with their baby. They needed a safe family car with room for a child seat. David started showing them the most expensive cars. "But these are way over our budget," the husband said. "I can make the monthly payments work," David said smoothly. "Just sign here." Lucy looked at the paperwork. The interest rate was huge. The monthly payments would balloon after 6 months. This young family would struggle to pay. "Excuse me," Lucy said, stepping forward. "I think they might prefer the blue model over there. It's within their budget and has the highest safety rating for children." David's face turned purple with rage. In front of everyone, he exploded. "That's it. I've had enough of you. Who do you think you are, questioning me all the time? You're nothing but a cleaner who can't mind her own business. You think you know better than everyone? You think you own this place? Well, you don't." The showroom went completely silent. All the staff and customers stared at them. Lucy stood very still, taking deep breaths. "Actually," she said quietly, "I do own this place." She reached up and removed her brown wig, revealing her blonde hair. She took off her glasses and wiped away the makeup that had changed her appearance. "My name is Lucy Williams. I own Williams Motors, all 35 showrooms." The color drained from David's face. Peter dropped the coffee mug he was holding. It smashed on the floor, but no one moved to clean it up. "For 3 days I've watched how you treat customers. I've seen the lies, the tricks, and the disrespect. This stops now. The end, remember. Truth has a way of revealing itself even when people try to hide it. Undercover boss is insulted in her own car showroom. What she does next is shocking." Part 4. The showroom stayed silent after Lucy revealed who she really was. No one moved. No one spoke. David looked like he might faint. Lucy turned to the young couple who had been looking for a family car. "I am so sorry for what happened here. Please let Mary help you find a safe car within your budget. And as an apology, we will give you our friends and family discount." Mary quickly stepped forward and led the shocked couple to the blue car Lucy had mentioned earlier. Lucy then turned to face all the staff. "Everyone, please gather round. We need to talk." The workers moved slowly, fear on their faces. Many looked at the floor, unable to meet Lucy's eyes. "I'm not here to fire everyone," Lucy said. "That would be easy, but it wouldn't fix the real problem." She looked directly at David. "What I've seen here is not what Williams Motors stands for. When I started this company 15 years ago, our first rule was simple. Treat customers like family. Somewhere along the way, we lost that." Peter stepped forward. "Ms. Williams, I can explain." Lucy held up her hand. "You don't need to explain. I heard you on the phone this morning. The pressure from head office is real, and that's my fault." She took a deep breath. "I stepped away from daily operations 2 years ago. I trusted my executive team to keep our values strong, but I didn't check if that was happening. I failed, all of you, by not staying connected to what was really going on. Many of the staff looked surprised. They had expected anger, not acceptance of blame. Starting today, things will change, Lucy continued. First, I'm closing this showroom for the rest of the week. All staff will be paid, but we will use this time for training. She looked at David. David, I'd like to speak with you in the office. The two walked to Peter's office and closed the door. Everyone watched through the glass windows, expecting to see Lucy fire David on the spot. Inside the office, Lucy sat down across from David. His face was pale, and his hands shook slightly. You're firing me, he said. It wasn't a question. Is that what you think should happen? Lucy asked. David looked surprised. After how I treated you? After what I said? Yes, I should be fired. Lucy looked at him thoughtfully. Tell me something, David. How long have you worked for Williams Motors? 8 years, he answered. And were you always like this? Pushing people to buy what they don't need, hiding costs in contracts? David looked down at his hands. No. When I started, I loved helping people find the right car. I won awards for customer satisfaction, not just sales. What changed? Lucy asked. For a moment, David looked like he might cry. 2 years ago, everything changed. New rules, impossible, targets. If we didn't hit our numbers, we were threatened with losing our jobs. I have 2 kids at home and a mortgage to pay. Lucy nodded slowly. So you became someone you didn't like to keep your job? Yes, David whispered. And then it just became normal. I stopped seeing customers as people. They became walking wallets. Lucy thought for a long moment. What she decided next would set the tone for all the changes to come. I'm not going to fire you, David, she said finally. He looked up in shock. You're not? No. Instead, I have a different plan. I want you to help me fix this. The end, remember. Sometimes the people who show us our biggest problems can also help us find the best solutions. Undercover boss is insulted in her own car showroom. What she does next is shocking. Part 5. 6 months had passed since Lucy revealed her true identity in the showroom. Today was a special day, the grand reopening of Williams Motors' city center location. The building looked different now. The harsh, bright lights were replaced with softer ones. There were comfortable chairs for customers and a play area for children. Signs around the showroom proudly displayed the company's new motto. Honest cars, honest prices, honest people. Lucy stood at the back, watching with pride. David, once the worst salesman, now walked toward the small stage set up for the occasion. He looked different too. His flashy watch and slicked hair were gone. He wore a simple blue shirt with the company logo. Good morning, everyone, David said to the gathered staff and special guests. Welcome to the new Williams Motors. 6 months ago, we lost our way. Today, we start fresh. Lucy smiled as she remembered the changes they had made. After that shocking day, she had made hard decisions. She fired her entire executive team, the people who had created the pressure to sell at any cost. She hired new leaders who shared her values. Most surprising to everyone, she had promoted David to be her special advisor on the company change program. Why him? Many people had asked. After how he treated you? Because, Lucy had explained, David knows better than anyone what went wrong and how to fix it. He lived it, and he wants to make it right. Together, Lucy and David had created new ways of working. Sales targets still existed, but now customer happiness was more important. Staff were rewarded for honest dealings, not just high sales. Training focused on helping customers find the right car, not the most expensive one. The hardest change was in people's minds. Many staff had forgotten why they joined the company in the first place, to help people find cars they would love and could afford. David had been key to changing this. He spoke honestly about his own journey from caring salesman to dishonest dealer, and back to someone he could be proud of again. As David continued his speech, Lucy looked around at the smiling faces of her staff. Mary, now promoted to showroom manager, stood proudly with her team. Our biggest change, David was saying, is how we measure success. It's not just about the sale, it's about the customer coming back next time, bringing their friends, trusting us with their family's safety on the road. When the speech ended, Lucy stepped forward. The crowd clapped as she joined David on stage. 6 months ago, I was standing in this showroom dressed as someone else, Lucy said. I was hurt and angry at what my company had become. But today, I'm proud, not just of our new look or our new rules, but of each person who chose to change. With us. She looked at David. Some people thought I was crazy to give David such an important role after how he treated Helen. But I saw something important in that moment. I saw someone who had been pushed to become what he wasn't. And I knew that if he could change back, anyone could. Lucy told the crowd about all the showrooms they had changed across the country. Sales were actually higher now than before, but customer complaints were down by 80%. Staff were happier too. Fewer people were leaving the company. The most important thing I learned, Lucy finished, is that a business is only as good as its values. When we forgot what mattered, we lost our way. But when we remembered, we found success again. After the speeches, Lucy and David walked around the showroom talking with staff and the first customers of the day. An elderly couple approached them. "Aren't you the cleaner who stood up for us 6 months ago?" the man asked Lucy. Lucy smiled. "I am, though I'm not a very good cleaner, I'm afraid." "You changed our lives," the woman said. "We bought our car from Mary that day. She was honest and kind. We've sent 5 friends here since then." As they walked away, David turned to Lucy. "Do you ever regret not firing me that day?" Lucy shook her head. "The easy path would have been to fire you and feel good about punishing the bad guy. The harder path was to see that the system made you that way, and that you could help fix it." She looked around at her reborn company. Sometimes the people who show us our worst moments can also lead us to our best. The end. Remember, true change comes not from throwing away what's broken, but from having the courage to rebuild it better than before.